Hey guys, welcome back. So, confession time. This is one of my first YouTube videos, and I'm still figuring out this whole video thing on YouTube. Half of this video is vertical because I didn't realize long videos need to be horizontal. Honest mistake, right? But hey, that's part of the journey, and I'm still learning, so bear here with me. Anyway, let's get started with this painting time lapse before I embarrass myself even more. As you can see, I'm working on a portrait here. My focus in this piece is more on expression than a strict realism. I want to capture the inner light and emotion of the figure rather than just the surface feature. I like to start my work with adding a thin layer of paint on the canvas. This is just to break the whiteness of the canvas so I can see the colors later on the painting more clearly. I then draw the guidelines just to give myself a better idea of the proportion of the face. After that, I place the eyes, eyebrows, nose, and mouth. Again with a thin layer of paint because I pretty sure that it's going to change. So I don't want to have a thick layer which is dark, so it's hard to change later. Honestly, having the proportions of the face is still challenging for me. That's why I usually play around and spend more time with it just to get it right or get to a point that I'd be like, yeah, I'm happy with it and I can move forward and add the shadows to the face. The next step is the first layer of shadows on the face. I do this with a really thin layer of paint, which is basically a combination of acrylic and water. This gives me a really good undertone and gives me the idea of which part of the face have lighter shadows and which parts have darker shadows. As I move forward, the paint layers get thicker and thicker. I try to work on different parts of the face simultaneously because I believe that face is just one big organ. So it doesn't make sense to me to finish one part completely and then go to the next part and finish that. The way that I like to do it is work a bit on every single part of the face. I think this makes the whole face more cohesive and more related and makes it a whole. So here I started to work on the eyes, not very detailed, but just to give myself a general idea of how the eyes are going to look like in the final piece. The model that I'm painting from had a lot of eye makeup, but I was like, no, this is not my goal here. So I'm just gonna do it in a way that it makes it more like my style. And yes, still working on the eye while trying to add more shadows to the upper lid and under eye area. I think eyes take the most time in painting portraits, or at least this is the case for me. I don't like to paint the portraits so realistic, but there is still some details that I really like to capture when it comes to painting the eyes. After getting to a point that I was like, yeah, the eyes are good for now, I then moved forward to the eyebrows, more shadows around the eyes, and then to the cheeks and nose. I feel like there's a step, or better to say, there's a stage in painting portraits that even you as the artist, you don't really know what are you doing, but you just trust the process and you know that at the end it's gonna make sense. I like this stage. Same time, I don't like it because it confuses me, and sometimes I'm just like, should I really continue, or I have to stop here or start all over again? So if you have the same feeling, then you are not alone. So the next layers of painting are more about adding details and more thick layers just to get the general shape and depth of the face. This painting is not finished yet. I usually like to take a break between making any art piece and just step back and look at the painting and check if there is anything that I like to change. So this is where I'm stopping for now. The portrait is still in progress and I'll be finishing it up in part 2. That's where I'll add more details, refine the features, and bring the whole piece to life. If you've enjoyed watching the process so far, feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you're new here, you can subscribe to see more portraits and creative experiments with me. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in part 2 of this video.